increased. We also will have a drop in our projected sale of recyclables via changes we're going to talk about later. So we're still projecting our revenue to be higher than our budget. Now, last month we talked about $900,000. We're talking now about 626,000 roughly of a surplus. So that is still good news. So the considerations that we brought up last month, I think, are things that we're willing to discuss, but we know that we do have a surplus, so they aren't necessarily needed. But if we would increase that from the CPI increase, our gate rate from the 37 it is today, that would bring us to approximately 38.25 with a 3.4 increase, and would probably give us around $2,100 of extra funds. Again, these aren't needed given our projections, but I still feel like it's good to discuss. Our maximum levy for 2026, the maximum that we discussed with DLGF would be 4 cents. So 0.0410, and that would give us approximately $2,199,950 of revenue. And after the property tax cap, obviously it'd be slightly lower at the $1,976,054. But overall, it would give us approximately $92,000 of extra funds. We did propose in the 2024 budget season to try to increase our levy to about 3.5. That was just what we thought we would need in the future. So again, we could go to the 4 cent, but again, with our projections, it does look okay for this next year without having to make any of these changes. But again, I wanted to bring it up to see if we want to discuss it or we want to just hold off. We do have projections of losses in 27 and 28 that are much greater and probably will necessitate some changes in revenue to account for them. This year, about a $70,000 is what was projected as a loss. It is a little bit higher with the property tax cap, but it is feasible to keep the gate rate at the 37 and keep the tax rate at the 0.0334 if that's the will of the board.
So I have a question, and you're not going to be able to answer.
Okay.
So my husband goes out there a lot. He pays a lot of money, not a lot, but he makes regular trips to the landfill.
Yeah.
So if you've got a truck bed full of stuff, like we increase it from 38,
37 now.
Increase it. Like, what's the average person as they show up with a truck bed full of stuff? Are they going to pay an extra dollar? Are they going to pay
50 cents or less?
I would say it's pretty slight. The majority of our loads are small
25,
residential.
30 cents if it's 500 pounds.
Yeah.
So it's negligible, but it gives us, we only get 2,100, or is that 21,000?
21,000. There's a zero missing.
Okay, so.
Well, it's always kind of been my thought, because we went so long without changing that gate rate, that we at least need to consider when that CPI increases, consider changing our gate rate. That's something we don't want to go too long, wanting to keep up with the CPI. So
I think the biggest driver for us is what are adjacent landfills or nearby landfills charging? Because we don't want to be the cheapest landfill around. I mean, you could argue that our land is more expensive than Medora land. So Medora is at 42, Decatur Hills, does that equate to 38.25 a yard? Is that what that?
No, I don't believe so.
Depending on what you're bringing in.
Yeah, it's kind of volume based,
Yeah,
so
okay.
it is a little deceiving, but
Do
yes,
they have an
Medora,
average volume for a ton of trash? Is there an average?
I'm sure I could come up with
Yeah,
it, but
that's
I
all
don't
right.
have that
I
on
mean,
the top of my
That
head.
doesn't tell us anything, the way that that's presented there, but that's how they charge it, I guess.
I would tend to agree, Heather. Um, Waiting till the problem arises is painful.
Yeah.
I'm a member of Southwest Bartholomew Water. And a couple days ago, I got a notice in the mail that said they are proposing and going to the regulatory board for the state for a 50% increase in rates. So I pay about $100 a month for water. So if that goes through in full, I'll go to about $150 a month in water.
$5 a month now.
And that's about $600 a year for a necessity, which I can absorb. But $600 a year to a lot of people is a lot of money. I mean, it is a lot of money to everyone, but just to retirees and things like that. So my suggestion is twofold. One, we make small incremental changes, anticipating long-term changes. But you mentioned earlier only the revenue side, and we also need to look at expenses.
We will be doing that later in this meeting.
Because it's one of the things that stands out to me is, you know, the anticipated revenue of recyclables is only $25,000. What are our expenses when it comes to recyclables?
Yeah, so
And I would
those
imagine it's not,
expenses-
it's pretty big, as they say in the corporate world, that's a pretty big delta.
yeah, so those expenses are changing via what we're going to discuss later in this meeting.
Okay, so that's my point. I think we all understand you're saying in 2 years, we don't want to have to hit with a 15% increase.
Heather, I have a question, and I should know this answer, and I knew it, but I forgot. It's probably in my pillow somewhere. If you raise the rate $2, I know our contract with Rumpke, we pay them X amount per ton for handling the waste. Do you know that figure offhand? Lee probably knows it.
Yeah, so the CPI chart that I gave you shows those fees. So for the first 40,000 tons, we are paying Rumpke $21.85. For any tons
And that goes
over,
up every year based on the CPI.
yes, and that's what we're talking about with the CPI.
So go ahead,
increase.
I interrupted you.
Yep, so anything over 40,000 is the 1685. That's what we pay Rumpke per ton. So those are the rates that went up roughly 3.4%.
All right. So if we don't increase, if we do increase, our fee is the same.
Yes, what we pay
Just
Rumpke
coming
will
off.
The
will
charge
be the
is not
same.
connected to the gate.
Okay, so if we increase $1, then our cash flow keeps that dollar. That entire dollar.
Yes, but we adjust that CPI every April, so we
right.
only know what will happen
So
through
if we
April.
don't go up, we're
Losing
losing
money.
revenue every year based on our contract because of the CPI.
Well, I'm good with it going up at the rate that you've got on here, cause our previous discussion had the rate going up even more.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
this brings it down. And I think we need to keep,
Where is it, Frank? Touch it on your paper.
what,
The rate.
It's down in the small print, under
down in the
consideration.
small print, but we were talking $40, I believe, before, so taking it from 40 to 38 and a quarter, and we're still keeping pace with the CPI. And that, I think, is the important part.
I agree, Frank. I agree.
So it needs to go up. I don't think we should stay at 37. I think it should go up. So if it's 38 and a quarter or 38.50 or 39, if we want to make it a round number, whatever, but
I would suggest we make it as small as possible
just
to
keeping
keep us
pace.
neutral.
You know, again, you guys, I do want to, I'll just say this again. When you're the cheapest guy, I don't care if you're selling peanuts, pickles, cars. If you are the cheapest guy, you're gonna attract sales. You're gonna have sales. And if we're the cheapest landfill, we don't wanna fill our landfill up. You know, we want Rumpke, the city's gonna bring us what they're gonna bring us. We want Rumpke bringing us their contracted amount, but the question is, do we necessarily want an extra 40,000 tons a year because we're the cheapest landfill around? No, I don't think we do. I mean, we're trying to find a happy medium where we can pay our bills without relying too heavily on tax revenue, but we do want our landfill to last. So I hate to be under what our adjacent landfills are. Now, for the board, the negative of that is our partner with the city, because they have to, you know, it hurts their budgets. That's the negative. If it weren't for that, I think we'd be at $42 without a question, right?
But we're a, publicly owned operation, not a private
So that
operation
means that we
also.
rely on the taxpayers to
Right.
support it. That's what that means.
We have to balance all those considerations. So, good.
Can't we turn down, somebody shows, if we decide that we don't want additional traffic, can't we turn it down?
You mean residential?
No, I mean, not like the
Commercial?
city, but you said you don't want 40,000 extra pounds.
Well, I mean, our two
That's-
big haulers are the city, Rumpke's number one, the city's number two, isn't that correct? And we need both of them. We need, if either of those dropped out, we would be in a world of hurt.
Larry, just if I may,
Please.
also, you're getting a full CPI increase at the gate rate. We only get 50% of it. So you're still getting the other 50% in the height and the increase. And also, when you look at the gate rate, like at Medora, we have to pay host fees. So we pay a bunch of the additional is paid straight to the county there and the state. So like what you're making is probably pretty close to what we're getting, but we're paying host agreements and everything else.
So what your point is, and I was part of that contract, but we only see a 50% increase of the CPI.
That's correct.
So that's thank you for reminding us. of that,
Yes.
'cause I
Yeah,
forgot.
and if I understood it correctly, the CPI was 3.4%.
Yeah.
So the increase of expense that you would have had through the,
Scott, these mics are so powerful, they're blowing my eardrums out.
I've been told by my wife I speak loudly. I don't know. But the increase would have been 1.7 on your expense
Okay,
side.
thank you for bringing that.
Yeah,
up.
just a point of clarification. So, and to Lee's point,
And Frank, you were part of that negotiation when we worked on it. I just forgot. Okay.
Good.
Yeah, I'll make one comment. It has nothing to do with today and this particularly, but, you know, I've been on this board for a lot of years, and my constant reminder to the board is we can't ignore the post-closure fund. You know, we have a post-closure fund that's underfunded, you know, so we, due diligence says as board, you consider every time on expenses and increases, do we have our post-closure fund adequately financed? So
And we don't.
Just as a reminder, so,
We do not.
because there's one argument is that when we close a landfill at 60 years, do we want Jim Schoaf, who took 20 ton out there today, to pay a few pennies so those money can be available 60 years from now to close the landfill, opposed to making my grandchildren pay for it all? So post-closure, that's kind of what, you know, the money to be able to close the landfill, and we're about, John, I think we're about 4 million short.
Correct. We're somewhere in that range short.
So I do have a question, Larry, and I'm looking at Brian. So we've obviously got our budget in play. We're ready to ship it to the next level with city council. What rate were we basing our fees on?
We went ahead and based on the $40 per ton.
Okay.
Okay, so
To Frank's point, Mike, if I could, I liked Frank's comment about, you know, I think it's proposed at, what is it, 38 and a quarter?
Right.
39 is a good number. Although again, I hate being cheaper than an adjacent landfill. I know I said that already, but I really do. We're not looking for customers
I just think we need to keep pace, and if 38 and a
Yeah.
quarter is the figure, 39 is not gonna make that much of a difference, and we pretty much typically have kept our gate rate at a even round number, or whatever you wanna call it, so bumping it up to 39 would make sense if we wanna keep it and not have cents involved.
Okay, do I have a motion on a gate rate
You got it.
of $39?
$39.
I'll second that motion.
Seconded by Larry Kleinhans. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
The date of what?
January 1.
January.
1.
Make sure we know what.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries for a gate rate of $39 effective January 1. A discussion on, do we want to discuss the tax rate any further?
I would like to start that conversation by saying I would not be supportive of any tax rate increase. People are getting hurt left and right. And it's not necessary to make the budget. We just increase the gate rate. I would suggest we keep the tax rate where it is and reassess next year after we see the impact of the gate rate increase.
Any
So our
further-
current gate rate is the 0.0
Not gate rate, levy.
levy,
Current-
excuse me,
levy.
0.0334. That is our current rate.
Can I remind everyone, and Heather, correct me, please? When we opened this landfill, I think the first year, Heather, do you recall what we were at, what our rate was? Because I'm gonna say a number, but I don't want to be wrong. Was it 17 cents that very first year?
Sounds right.
I don't think I was born yet, Larry.
Paybacks, you know. Paybacks. But anyway, we've worked really hard to get that rate down. And we worked so hard at it, 2 or 3 years ago, we got it down too low to where we were cash short. So we bumped it up a penny or so. But that's probably a good number where we're at. If we can maintain that 3.5 to 4 cents versus 17 or 18. Now, if we go buying properties or something, then that's what causes that to bump up for 1 or 2 years to pay off the property.
We're not building any cells next year.
We are not. We have no major landfill construction or closure in 2026.
With the increase in the gate rate and the fact that we're not doing any of that, we should be able to have a pretty good amount of money to put into the post-closure the way it is now.
Yeah, so we do in 2026 have plans to put money in closure, post-closure, as well as funding our non-reverting capital fund. So we established that fund, but there are currently no monies in it, so it does allow for both of those in 26.
How much? When you said that, what's the number? Roughly,
So I believe in
for post-closure.
post-closure, we are putting in 100,000 and our non-reverting capital fund is 200,000. And
Hopefully next year we can put a good chunk of change into closure.
yeah, I mean, if we have leftover funds, we can always go forth and, you know, put more funds in there, but that's what we have
And I
budgeted.
apologize, did you mention starting to fund the capital?
Yep, non-reverting capital fund, we
Non-reverting
will
capital.
start to fund. We established that, but we didn't have any monies to put in the fund. But that is planned for 2026 as well, and that's a good vehicle for us as we're looking at cell construction or other large capital projects, having funds set aside so we don't see so many peaks and valleys in our budget.
Right, because right now we're paying for all the previous landfills that we had. Current taxpayers are paying for those.
Yeah, we
'Cause
haven't.
They didn't have a post-closure fund or a non-reverting fund.
Yeah, we've had the post-closure, but, we've been paying for that out of budget.
Barring any further discussion, I'd make a motion that we keep the current tax levy for 2026.
I'll second that.
Second. Mr. London makes the motion, Mr. Miller seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Fantastic. Moving on to reports from our departments.
Yes, so we have our tonnage report for June. We had 9,800 and that's, yes, 9,863 tons for June. That's 52,370 tons for 2025 through that second quarter. We're approximately 5,870 tons over our 2024 total. And we had 269 tons from Edinburgh and 2,023.96 tons of out of county. At the CD site, we had 10 tons in June and 60 tons for 2025. No major projects. CD site still awaiting the project from Greenbelt, so that should be coming. As well, we've included quarterly comparisons for you. The convenience stations are down in 2025 from 2024. You'll see city sanitation is slightly up, and then landfill cash is up as well with that increase in tonnage. So that's all good news. I'll move on to the volume and commodities if we don't have any questions. So for the commodities report in the second quarter of 2025, we sold scrap metal, cardboard, aluminum cans, plastics, books, office paper, and steel cans for $43,515.46. That's slightly lower than the 2024 second quarter total. The pricing per ton for the majority of our commodities is down from 2024. So it's about the same volume of material, just the pricing is a lot lower. On our volume reports, the first page of the volume reports is residential. We had 3,083 customers visiting the recycling center in the second quarter of 2025. And they brought in 238.634 tons of material. And that tonnage is slightly up from 2024, about a 15 to 20% increase. And customers are up by about 7% at the recycling center from that period of time in 2024. The second page of the volume report is our commercial numbers. So these are both commercial deliveries and our commercial cardboard program. We had 248 commercial loads, including 187 deliveries from commercial customers, bringing in 345 tons of material. That's about a 15% decrease in commercial deliveries, but the tonnage is slightly up by 6%. On page 4 is our landfill reuse numbers. So we diverted 44.82 tons in the second quarter from landfill disposal, and it's a slight increase from 2024. So that's a promising number. On the program totals page, there's a lot of information on that page, but I usually highlight the yard waste. There was 8,754 tons of yard waste diverted in the second quarter. Lots of storms, lots of debris coming to the site, and those numbers compared to 2024 are pretty similar. It's been a stormy couple
We had
years.
to take all that stuff in our landfill. They don't do that at Medora, do they? They don't take any debris.
Yard waste.
No, we don't have a site and it's not permitted in the landfill.
It's not permitted in any landfill now unless it's a
Most
CD.
of the yard waste is banned, not all of it, but pretty close.
Yeah, it's almost zero.
Rescue brings theirs to us if it's from Bartholomew County.
And then the last page, you'll see the commercial cardboard program. There were 315 tons of commercial cardboard in the second quarter of 2025, and that's roughly a 3% increase from 2024 to 2025. Lots of cardboard. And that's all I have unless, on the volume reports, unless you guys have any questions. Lots of numbers. We have our education log as well included. We reached 109 adults through 10 programs, including Adopt a Road, Little Red Schoolhouse, event recycling, a health safety fair, and a tour. And the Adopt a Road program collected 77 bags of trash from those groups. So those numbers look good. We do have a few new Adopt a Road groups, so we're seeing a few new areas being cleaned up, so that's good. And that's all I have. I don't really have any updates. I think we covered most of the legislative changes early in the meeting.
Moving on to the financial report.
So for June, month to date, our revenue was $1,555,202.58. Year to date is $3,136,605.73. So compared to June of 2024, we are up 241,519 month to date, and year to date, $597,168.24. Expenditures for June, total expenditures was $368,311.37. Year to date, $2,028,020.92. So revenue is up over expenditures, $1,186,891.21 month to date. And then year to date, we are up $1,108,584.81. We still have 64% of our budget remaining. Our general fund cash balance as of June 30th was $3,148,567.67. For our reserve is $1,076,322.06 is in our reserve investment balance. For rainy day is still at $265,860.70. Post closure right now, we have $2,815,132.62. So with total of all funds is $7,305,882.98.
So, thank you. That's helpful. So a couple of questions. One is, what are the biggest revenue increases? 200 and some odd thousand. Is there something, one particular thing that's?
So most of the increases that we see are the out of county tonnage. So we're taking in more tonnage at the landfill, about 2,000 tons per month. And we've been doing that since March of 2024.
Okay, all right. And so but the expenses, the total that you gave, that had all of those extra expenses that you gave us, right? So it's a little hard to compare apples to oranges as far as.
So are you talking about the items over 3,000?
That you were reading earlier today?
So,
You pull that out, how are you budget-wise?
So I think budget-wise, we're good. So those items specifically, they are budgeted for. We did budget for cell construction, all the work there.
Right.
So they are budgeted for, they're just not a fixed cost. So I bring them to you, because of that.
Right, but if you pulled those out, I'm not asking you to do those. So you just looked at fixed cost, right? We do the same thing with the city, right? We've got the capital expenditures and the based upon some project we're doing, but if you just looked at your fixed expenditures, are you pretty much in line for the year? Yes.
Yes, we should be.
Yes.
Any further questions? Reports? Okay, thank you. Moving on to new business. The RC flyer agreement.
Yes, so we have an agreement with the Bartholomew County radio controlled flyers. They utilize some acreage at our closed landfill at Petersville for a flying field. So they are asking today for us to remove the automated gate that didn't work out. So that's just cleaning up that agreement. But they're also asking for local law enforcement to have the opportunity to train with their drones on our flying field. So currently, the agreement only allows for RC Flyer members. Local law enforcement is not a member, but we do want to allow them to train with their drones at our flying field. So that's what we're asking.
The RC club is asking for that?
Yes, they've been approached by one of the police departments to train on the field. So
I
I think,
wholeheartedly support that.
yeah, I think it's a good use.
I'd make a motion that we approve that use.
So I didn't look at that closely. Is it just law enforcement? Does it include the fire?
I think it would be, what we put in there is local law enforcement, but if we wanna,
We amend that because we
Yep.
have drones with the fire department, and so law enforcement doesn't
First
quite cover
responders.
this. First responders is
Okay.
better.
we can gladly change it to that. That's an easy
Do you have
change.
any problem, Jim, with that?
No, probably should have it like first responders of the county or
Right.
have a limit that we don't want
Okay.
all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So I would do it with flight.
Thank you.
It's a reasonable use.
So we'll amend that.
Have police cars parked out there periodically either.
Right.
We'll amend that to be first responders of Bartholomew County in that agreement.
Good idea.
Tony London made a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second, second.
Miller, second. Based upon, subject to the amendment to the agreement. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next new item, the landfill contract addendum and the understanding agreement for the recycle pad.
Yes, so in your packet, you have both the addendum and the MOU. In the addendum, and this is an addendum to the landfill contract. It will allow for the development of the recycle facility. So we approved that in June. It would change the term of our landfill contract to be 2 5-year terms and 1 3-year term, which would take us until 2038. At that time, we would be required to rebid the contract because legislation in state code only allows us to have a 40-year contract. So that's what it currently states today. So that's why we're doing 2 5-year and 1 3-year term until 2038. That's hard to roll off the tongue. As well, this agreement does keep the CPI at the 50%. This would allow for all recycling loads that are going to that pad. They would be charged $15 per vehicle, and that would exclude our loads. So our loads will be coming to the site as well, and that would include the landfill, the recycling center, and the convenience stations. Rumpke will be providing that service to us from those 3 facilities. They would haul it to the site at no charge, but there would be a processing fee for all of our recyclables of $68 per ton. The water from the recycling pad will be combined on site with our leachate, and solid waste would assume the disposal cost for getting the leachate cleaned before it is discharged. But Rumpke would bear the cost for getting the material, the water from their facility, recycling facility, to the leachate basin. They're adjacent to each other, so small impact. It would increase the out-of-county tonnage by 3% per year. And that would require us to modify our landfill permit, so it would be upon approval with that permit change. And then the last page of that addendum, there's an amortization table. So if our contract would end prior to 10 years, the new contractor would need to pay those costs to Rumpke. So that's a kind of good review of the addendum. Did I miss anything, Jim?
No, I mean, I went, and I apologize for not have done last month, but I went through the entire contract, make sure we covered loose ends. So I think we've got everything covered. The numbers I tentatively ran was that the leachate is gonna generate about a $2,000 cost to us every year, based on volume, rainfall, and all that. So it will increase our leachate cost because it runs off there. And there are some other leachate problems that we've got to address long-term at the landfill that we're meeting this week with John about. But so that's the main cost us is that. I understand that it does go across for scale, so there'll be some scale wear, but we're getting paid to weigh it. I developed the contract as I went through everything. I'm good, but then I go back. It made sense to me that it needed to be the recycling with Rumpke needed to be part of the original contract because we did not want two different vendors with two different contracts. So this had to be tied to the original landfill contract, but it would not work. We had a separate contract for some reason. One contract fell, the other didn't. So it's my opinion that we need to incorporate this in the original landfill contract, make that part of it. So in 13 years, when we have to rebid, that rebid process includes both. So we just can't have two contractors out there, period, in my opinion. So I think there will be things to tweak as always, but it seemed to be very, as everybody just understands it, it's a process. Rumpke is not asking us on their amortization table. That is to protect them down the road if we have to sell, but they're having amortized pretty much before it's done. So we may put a value on what they put there because you can't pick it up and move it. You know, it's there. So if it's worth X dollars when they negotiate with somebody else or when we rebid it, and that's the problem, we have to rebid 13 years. The statute says 40 years is the maximum or at the end, so.
So if I can turn to Brian, so have you had a chance to look at the contract and I just want to understand how the city is affected because we're one of the main providers of the recycling, right?
Yeah, yeah, we've been a part of this from the get-go. So we've been in all the meetings and putting it all together. So it's gonna work out for the city too. And the city has a separate contract with Rumpke. Once this gets approved, and then we'll bring it to the Board of Works and play into that.
Are we seeing a reduction in recycling, an increase in recycling? I know that we've talked a lot about the market or the lack of market.
Yeah, no, we're, on the city side, we're seeing an increase, so we're getting more households and more people. So we're getting requests for more totals all the time, so it's continuing to go up. The cost is going down, but the supply, the material is going up.
So part of this discussion is also the MOU. So in the MOU, this will phase out our commercial cardboard and office paper program and our processing of material. We will still have collection at the recycling center, the landfill, and the convenience stations, but we will no longer process material. So it would be a drop in 2 of our staff. And we will move away from the processing side of it. You'll see in your packet, there's an analysis that the recycling committee did of that program, and it's just really not cost effective. So that's why we're going to pull out of that. We're still going to recycle. We will have to pay that $68 per ton for now for processing, but that'll be processed at that recycling. The process will start at the recycling pad. And then the MOU does give Rumpke the opportunity to purchase some of that infrastructure. So our recycling trucks, balers, containers, and any associated, so that's why we're seeing a drop in the recycling revenue, because what we're collecting today and processing at the recycling center will cease. So we will still collect and it still will be recycled. It just won't be an internal process for us. So we will see, you know, what we have currently in the budget. There will be 2 less employees.
There, can you give us a, and it might be in the packet and I overlooked it, but
Sure.
can you give us a kind of a high level financial
Well, the impact of it.
look of this?
I mean, that was one of the first things that we did, Tony, months and months ago, and it's in your packet of what the expenses of the cardboard was
Mhm.
and what it, and what we made
Yeah.
from that, and that's what those 2 sheets are. But to make it simple, because the math wasn't done, over the 10-year period that we looked at, $1,745,521 that it cost us, that we lost over a 10-year period in trying to do cardboard.
And we'll no longer have that.
That's the bottom
expense.
line.
And we'll no longer have that expense.
We will no longer have those expenses.
How do we keep it out of the landfill?
So Rumpke will be reaching out to our commercial cardboard customers here shortly to hopefully sign them up for service.
At a cost,
Yes, at a cost.
so some will opt out.
Potentially, but there is the option that customers, today's commercial cardboard customers, if they have the ability, they could bring that to the landfill and use our recycling facility. There would be the fee associated at the scale and with Rumpke for that, but there are options.
So the companies that would bring it would pay a fee to bring it,
Yes, at the
and
landfill.
then we would pay Rumpke to process it.
No, they would have a direct setup with Rumpke, so they would be paying us a $15 scale fee
Oh no,
and
what I'm
pay
saying, what I'm
Rumpke for
saying is
processing.
a company that doesn't sign up for the service,
Yep, and they
they
would.
can bring it out to the landfill
In a box truck.
in a box truck, and they will pay across the scale.
And they will
Although
pay
the weight
Rumpke.
of cardboard is not nearly as important as the volume of it, right?
Tony, just hire Rumpke to haul off. Tony London coming.
Hey,
Don't hire an employee, don't buy a truck.
if I'm a manufacturer, have a load of cardboard that you guys no longer pick up, I have to make arrangements with Rumpke's to drop it off out there, or make arrangements with Rumpke's to pick it up. So when I cross the scale, I pay Bartholomew County Solid Waste District the $15, and then I pay Rumpke's for the cardboard.
For
So
the
they can't come-
processing.
They can't bring it out for free. Nobody can bring it to the landfill for free.
No, we are ceasing the commercial program.
Our biggest users, I mean, what's the type of industry, right?
So we don't have like Cummins and Toyota, nothing kind of that large, but probably some of our larger ones would be Bradford Soap. Just lots of containers, lots of material. So the-
Appliance stores are a big one,
Right.
because the
Yeah,
refrigerators
McDonald's.
come in a box.
McDonald's is a big one for us
Now,
also.
we pick it up. So Brian, what happens in the city? We pick up cardboard. Do we pick up cardboard in the city?
No, we don't pick up, if cardboard's in the toter, your regular recycle
For,
container.
for
picks up.
residential, right?
For residential,
For
And
business.
Heather's crew picks up the commercial
Okay,
cardboard.
but right now, to Tony's point, it's free.
Yeah, so residential will still have the convenience centers that they can still take it to a free,
Or they can put it in their toter.
or toters in the city, yes.
So that it'll be the commercial that'll see the biggest, medium-sized commercial, right? The appliance stores and the
Restaurants.
restaurants, yeah.
And I think, Mayor, the only thing, and Alex has a copy, I think I think there is a tweak in the city contract on dates.
That's been done.
Scheduling and timing and stuff. I don't know if that's been tweaked yet, but
That's been done, yeah.
is that done? Okay.
So we currently have 5 employees at the recycling center.
So we have 3 who are in the recycling center and 2 who operate the commercial cardboard route, and those 2 will go away.
Okay.
Which they have agreed to interview and to hire.
I assume, Jen.
Yep.
So that offer has gone out for both of those employees to be Rumpke employees.
So this should have a very
And then
nice
the
net
offer-
effect on the
Right.
district.
And then the offer is to also purchase trucks.
Yes, Rumpke has the opportunity for anything associated with commercial cardboard. So balers, trucks, containers, they have the option to purchase any of those.
So, yes, but there's a huge education component around this to our commercial and businesses, right? Understanding, you know, the medium size that, I don't know if you got I mean, I don't. if
Well,
you
no,
got-
we actually just send everything out in the boxes it came.
Okay, all right, so.
We used to buy boxes until we had 1 million boxes left.
We did not have enough trucks and dumpsters to actually fill the demand that we could have done. And Rumpke can talk to, they've got salespeople, whatever, that are going to be going to all of our current customers, plus others,
Okay.
trying to build their program. Cause that's the only way to make any money in cardboard is volume. And we weren't volume driven, or we weren't big enough to really make anything at it. They are set up for it. They can talk to that.
So if I may,
Yeah.
we worked,
Would you come up to the table? You got a large voice, but. Hey, why don't you state your name for the record? We just
Absolutely.
gotta start doing that for the record.
so Eric Curtis with Rumpke. We've been working with our communications team, our corporate communications team with Heather on a detailed letter outlining this for all the commercial customers. That letter is set to go to mail on Monday, pending this meeting today. Outlining everything of what the changes. Rumpke will assume all the costs of getting that out to the customers. In addition, excuse me, I think Frank said, our sales force is prepared behind the scenes to go out to each customer and try to get them to continue the cardboard program, which they have. We'll make a few tweaks operationally, down probably in the near future, assuming of the number we get set up, just the way, the type of container and the way we service it. But we will make sure they understand the process, and our sales team is armed with information so that the customers understand what the changes and what their options are from a recycling and a cardboard standpoint. Yes, there will be a fee for that service. I mean, I think everyone in this room understands the reasons for that. In addition, one of the things that we are going to do to help the county is the containers that are currently on site. We as a company don't have any, we don't want to purchase those containers that the county owns, but we will help remove those as we progress through this, so that they're not sitting at a customer, and we'll get those back to the yard on Mapleton for the county, in addition to the other things we're doing.
And we do hope to put out a PSA as well. So we'll reach out to customers, and then we'll be putting out some information about the program changes and options for commercial customers. So
As well as a news release as well, we have planned.
Eric and Heather, what's the second use for those containers? Are they marketable? Because if they're not, we ought to just.
In my-
Fruits and.
And my recommendation would be taking the crude and get the scrap value.
Okay,
Um,
we don't want to take them, Joe.
you don't want to sit around gathering dust and weeds. We typically, what we do with containers that we don't get back, what we do is we scrap them. And they have, it's got a decent value. It's a one-time.
It's a loading mechanism that's not for a modern cardboard recycling truck, they just don't work.
So, the current way you guys, you service the customers is with a rear load truck. We like to service as many customers with a front load truck. It's less labor, it's more efficient. Cost of the truck is obviously a little bit more. Containers can be potentially a little bit more, but
Heather, why don't you feel around, see if there's somebody else that can use them, some other, can you guys use them?
Yeah, we can use a bus, so we still do rear load for, schools and city and stuff.
We'll
So
sell them
we have
to you, what,
vehicles.
$500 a piece?
I give 600, Larry.
Huh?
600 is a fair amount.
600.
For Brian.
So
Since
thank
it's
you.
Brian, we'll go
I
600.
think this is gonna be disruptive, sir, and so
Absolutely.
I'd love to, my office would love to get a copy of that letter, so we
Okay.
know when it goes out. Probably.
Sure Heather can send that to you.
I can send you the letter. We have an almost final draft, I believe.
Yeah, and I agree completely with you, Mayor. It's gonna be a little bit clunky for a little bit. I think we've done a good job of collaborating and trying to come up with all the what ifs. That being said, there's gonna be what ifs that come up that we didn't think of, and we're gonna react.
And
We're
so
gonna
here's
do
my
the best
last
thing we
question,
can for the
and it
city.
shows my ignorance, and I'm sorry. Is this, because we get a lot of complaints about the early morning Rumpke trucks, city trucks, you name it, and I get it, right? Is this gonna mean more trucks picking up in places that are gonna cause people reasons to call the mayor's office?
I don't have that answer. I like to think, based on what I've kind of seen from the customer base, it looks like it's pretty industrial, pretty commercial.
Okay.
So hopefully not. That being said, I can't tell you until we start going through it.
Okay. All right.
You can direct all those calls to Lee Johnson.
Well, we do get them, right?
No,
And-
I understand. 100%.
And I would just make a point, not with that specific, is that, the last several years, as I've gone through all this, is that in the statute and our mandate and those things, we really, the soft terms in most of the statute is that we should not be competing at free for people have businesses that do it for a fee. So we should not be providing free recycling when they have a commercial option. That is not our mandate is not to provide free services, is provide a place for the stuff to go. So we've been, and we did it because there's nobody doing it at the very, very beginning. There's nobody who's doing cardboard. But now that there is, it's time for us, at least from my perspective, going through the statute, it's time for us to step out.
No, and I don't disagree. Just cardboard has just been that bugaboo for years because particularly like in the downtown area, like you see restaurants and there's so much of it. And so this is a shift where now they're gonna have to pay, which means probably people are gonna try alternate places to find it. So it's disruptive. It's a disruptor in the way we do business. So we just have to keep. That's the only way that we can do it.
And anything we can do to help answer those questions, I'm available at all times. And please flow those through me and I'm happy to answer.
One thing I've got, so when we originally come to you guys about this program or doing this, we're taking our recyclables now that we pick up at the city, we're taking it to God Rocks. It's a private location. And, they can close us down now. Rumpke's got a contract with them. They worry about that contract, but it could get shut down at any time. God Rocks could be sold off or whatever. And then we've got to find a quick location at that point to take our recyclables for the city of Columbus. Right now, that's the only place we have. Otherwise, we'd be driving these recyclables to Medora, and that'd be a lot of miles on our trucks, a lot of hours, and we just couldn't do that. So we need a sustainable location. So that's why we thought the landfill would be the idea spot. Just kind of put it in the contract with the landfill contract, and that way it could go on for years and years. Hopefully bring you guys some revenue and stuff too. So that's kind of the outlook that we're looking at. And then the other piece on the education piece that we're all going to have to work together is that if we do go there, the public's going to see recycling trucks going into the landfill. And we already get questioned, where does the material go? Is it really getting recycled? So we need to make that education piece too, that we do have a recycling facility inside of the landfill. It's going to the proper location and it's getting, where it goes and stuff there too. So we just don't want that perception of people seeing a landfill or recycling truck going into the landfill and thinking we're burying the material. So, yeah, exactly. So we just want to make sure we clear that too. So, thanks.
So I have a question. How does this affect nonprofit organizations? Or does it affect?
As far as what they're receiving free service currently?
Right. Versus
Um,
now
There will be a charge. We will have to charge for that service. And we have pricing set for those as well, that you're trying to help as much as possible.
Okay, so you have, potentially you have separate pricing for a nonprofit, potentially.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, it's good discussion. Any further discussion on that? Do I hear
I would suggest that we do it two separate motions. The motion to approve the contract, and the motion to acknowledge and approve the memorandum of understanding. The reason I did those separately was because the memorandum of understanding is basically perishable one-time items. But once that's done, it's gone, and I did not want that in the contract generally. So I would suggest a motion on both, and I also, Mr. Chairman, I would suggest, encourage, we need to open up for public comments. I don't know that we have any different, but just for the record, open up for public comment. And close the public comment before you vote on this contract change is my recommendation.
any comment from the public? Maybe a
I think getting rid of the commercial card program is a big deal. I just think it's gonna be a stunner to the community. A lot of people use it now. It's a free service. It's kind of the shining star of our recycling program. At least it brought in revenue and stuff. And I understand times are tough and things are tough. I just think it's gonna be a big shock. It was a surprise to me. I knew you were considering it, but surprise. End of comment.
Thank you. Okay, do I hear a motion
I'll make a
on,
motion to accept the landfill contract that Jim has.
okay,
Is that a motion, Frank?
Yes.
Frank
Second.
and Larry seconds? Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries on the landfill contract addendum.
And then I'll make a motion to accept the MOU for the recycle pad.
Mr. Miller makes a motion for the memorandum of understanding on the recycle pad. Do I hear a
Second.
And Mr. London seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
And then at this point, as we've discussed when we've met with Rumpke, if the city Board of Works approves the city's contract, that kind of gives Rumpke the green light to put things into motion. And I think our discussion was, first off, they need to talk to all the cardboard folks that we're picking up from now, but they've already been in front of Board of Zoning Appeals. They got their appeal. They got everything ready to go. We're hoping by late October or so, or November, we might be able to be operational.
We're hoping by Halloween. So if I may, the next steps today will be start talking to, we've selected Inglelau as the contractor to have him start working and getting shovels in the ground as soon as possible. We'd like to get this open as expeditiously as possible for all parties.
Ingledow works out well for them since they're already out there doing work. So hopefully Mayor and Brian, this will go Board of Works Tuesday.
On the agenda.
Fantastic.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, CAC update.
All right. Scott even made a paper again for photography. Yeah, chasing butterflies. Yeah, I'm good at that. I'm Scott Keene, representing the Citizens Advisory Committee today. Go over some general stuff here real quick from our last meeting. The big discussion, Heather walked us through the budget. We kind of figured out, determined what you guys are up to or what you're up to. So one of our tasks is supposed to submit written comments, and I just sent them to Heather yesterday. So They are late, I apologize. Could you pass these on to the board at some point so they can get a copy?
I can send it to him. Yep.
Yeah, just forward it to them, that would be great. So I have one copy, you could have it on it. But in general, it says we're supposed to comment on the budget, and I don't even know what that is. It just says we're supposed to comment, so I guess I could tell jokes or something, but I won't do that. So we looked at what you did, and it looked pretty good. We think all the stuff that you did, changes you made, were pretty realistic, like an aging workforce, needing to bump up insurance. I mean, and for the younger people who are coming on, right? So the insurance costs are up and things like that. So we think most of the increases look pretty reasonable. We also commended you guys because we know that, we're starting to put money in the non-reverting capital fund. That's a big deal. Been needed for a long time, I think, to even out the fluctuations in the budget every year. So, we give you a thumbs up for that. But we also did make a comment that additional funding should be targeted toward the, post-closure fund because it is behind. So that comment is in there as well. And we also commented you on making, last few years were tough, like Larry had mentioned, that times were, money was tight. And so you guys took some changes, revisions in services, out of county waste, revenue changes, things like that. So I think we're back kind of in the middle of the road again. Tough times are over. However, we know that, budgets, given with the current, everything's kind of in a state of upheaval. I think the next couple of years are going to be really a challenge, for this board, just because budgets, the budget's already tight and it looks like revenues are going to be harder to come across. So, so much for the comments on that. And if you have any questions, you can stop me from rambling anytime. Okay. We talked about poison hemlock last time. It's a big deal. It's all over the place. But Heather's been working with the local, I think, the Soil and Water Conservation District to deal with the problem. And so I think she's got it, in hand. It's just, it's insane. It's everywhere. That stuff is just popping up everywhere, and it's bad. It's bad news. So I think at least we're getting a handle on it.
Yeah, we're going to be doing some spraying at the site, for poison hemlock to come. Not really the time to spray. There's a certain time of year that's best to do that. We have met with, Soil and Water and a company that would do spraying. So that is, kind of to come, and we'll be setting up a long-term plan. We know, invasives are coming to our site, not just hemlock. People are bringing it from their yards. So we will be working on a long-term plan, to help manage that. Probably, it sounds like it'll be about a 5-year, plan, to get a better handle on that, and the area adjacent to our compost site and our old sand fill, site. We know, it's there too. So we'll be working, kind of in both of those areas on getting a handle on that.
That stuff just explodes wherever it's at. It just goes nuts. So you'll be hearing more about that soon. And I think we did some recycling, try to do some recycling at the fair. They spent a lot of time at it. We got, I'm not sure, between 40 and 100 pounds or something like that. Seems like a lot of effort for a little return. Plus, a lot of stuff out there is sold in non-recyclable stuff. So we get, cans have some value. Plastics are a real pain. So anyway, we keep swinging. I think that's about it for right now.
Thank you for trying.
We keep trying.
Yes, thank you. Any further items to be brought before the board here?
Mr. Chairman, I would ask to, next agenda that when we open the meeting, that we do roll call by name or have people by name so that we have a record of who actually is here. I think we're kind of lacking in that, especially with being Zoom now. So maybe just have a roll call at the beginning of the meeting would be helpful.
And I'll try to add that on the agenda so we don't forget.
Mr. Chairman, I think, given what we've done here today with commercial cardboard, we need to keep in mind us board members as we get questioned in the community. The two points is the one that Jim brought up, competition with private enterprise And, the other thing was that, it was frankly a loser for the district and, a pretty significant loser. And, we're just trying to be responsible. So that's gonna be a hard message, for some people to take.
Yes, exactly. I think we all agree upon that. I think it's pretty good motivation to make the decisions we did. Fantastic. Next meeting, September 25th, 2025. Looking forward to seeing everybody there. Any further discussions? Do I have a motion to end the meeting? Mary, Tony seconds.